Hi, I'm Sally-Shakti, Star Priestess and Visionary Writing Guide, and today I am really excited to be speaking with David Spofforth, who is the author of Heaven's Moon. David, tell us about you and your book.
Oh, hello. Thanks for talking to me. So Heaven's Moon is all about the astrological white moon Selena, which which is a fairly niche and unusual part of astrology that appears on some websites. Uh, but the explanations all about it and its origins are fairly vague. And I, in my astrology studies, um, I was sort of encouraged to take a deep dive. Um, you know, as my as our teacher said, if there isn't a book out there about it, then you have to go away and write one, don't you? Yes.
Absolutely. I love that encouragement. And you did. so,
Yes. Thanks
so
for you.
David, you and I met on the Star Priest and Star Priestess training at Glastonbury Goddess Temple, which we've been doing with Maria Jones, our teacher. And we spent the year together learning astrology, goddess-centered astrology, and I know you'd also had some input from Kaya May and other people at the Goddess Temple. You're also a priest of Avalon,
Yes.
completed your 3-year training many years ago. So I'm curious to know how you encountered White Moon Selena and how you went about researching for the book that you've written, because really yours is the first or the only perhaps book in existence about her.
Yes, I believe so. There may be one somewhere in Russia, but I think it's certainly the first English book about it.
That's amazing. So tell us about your journey with White Moon Selena and how you came to do this research and write the book.
Okay, it goes back to the priestess you mentioned, Kaya May. She was running a workshop at the Goddess House Healing Retreat a couple of years ago, and she working on everybody's birth chart, and she included White Moon Selena, which I had never heard of before, um, and talked about how it related to your highest self, sort of the best version of you could be. And and I found this intriguing, not least because in my birth chart it's right next to Black Moon Lilith, so it's a strange light dark conjunction going on. So I found that quite intriguing, but also because when I dedicated as a priest of Avalon back in 2010, I chose this symbol of this my moon goddess symbol, which I've always referred to as Selene when anybody asks. So I've been sort of close to this this power for a long time, and so I thought, okay, I want to find out a bit more about it. And then you kind of start hitting a blank wall because the websites that do talk about it are all fairly vague as to where it comes from and what it actually is. Um, the There's a few that still refer to it as the perigee of the moon, opposing Lilith's apogee, um, but which it isn't, of course. And so, well, basically, I just have to go down the whole rabbit warren of finding links within discussion groups, to try and find tracing it back, and eventually found some old Russian websites from the 1990s with the help of Google Translate, to get the information, and then taking a deep dive into ancient Zoroastrian to understand the philosophies behind it.
This is incredible. So you've done a real deep dive and really brought this wisdom, this ancient knowledge to the surface into, what is now currently the first and currently the only book in English on White Moon Selena. So can you tell us a little bit more about your understanding of White Moon Selena? What is she or it?
Okay, the it's defined as a hypothetical second moon orbiting the Earth in a perfect circle every 7 years. And so there's the first red flag. It's a perfectly circular orbit is impossible. The fact that it's every 7 years, well, we know 7 is an incredibly spiritual number appearing across pretty every sort of religion you come across. There's always something related to 7. As we know, it's the 7 classical planets, the 7 chakras, the the biblical 7 days of Genesis, the Buddha's 7 steps of enlightenment. The list goes on. So, and then I started to think about, well, why is it called Selena? What's the links with the goddess of the moon, Selene? And there are some very important crossovers when Selene moved from being the physical embodiment of the moon, just like Gaia is of the earth, and started to be considered to be the moon in the celestial spheres. And that sort of triggered it for me. So as far as I can see, White Moon Selena isn't a hypothetical moon. She's a spiritual moon. She's a moon that exists in the spiritual dimensions and shining through this portal that is rotating around the earth. Which is why I call the book Heaven's Moon. That whatever you call the sort of the spirit world, the spirit dimensions, Selena is the moon that is orbiting the spirit world.
That's so beautiful. I can really feel that. And I really love that distinction that you made about the difference between a hypothetical moon and a spiritual moon, that she's there existing on a different dimension, on a different plane, in the spirit world. And from what you're saying in the book, therefore affecting us in some way on an energetic level. So how do you then read White Moon Selena in somebody's chart and the effect that she might be having on any given person?
Well, the two things that you link to are the fact that it's perfect, it's perfection, and B, impossible. So you look at what it tells you what your highest aspirations are, the most perfect divine self within, your god or goddess within, the path to your own sort of perfect vision of yourself. However, you're almost never going to be able to reach that. The idea of being able to become the perfect divine being is always going to be out of reach. But knowing the direction it's in and knowing what you can strive towards, you will that journey will take you further than you would have done, if you didn't know which direction your divine self was in.
That's beautiful. And I think, well, in the book as well, I know you also talk about some of the obstacles and challenges, and also some of the alchemies that we can bring in to help to regulate that aspect of ourselves, that drive towards perfection.
That's right, because there are some signs and planetary alignments when you've got, say, certain planetary alignments. I could say, if everybody's favorite, like a Saturn square or something with White Moon Selena, which is never going to help matters. But in astrological work, there is work you can do to consciously evoke the opposite effect. Like say, if you have got something, say Saturn and Capricorn sort of causing stress and issues. I mean, Capricorn wants the perfection and will be very annoyed if it doesn't get it. So you look at the qualities of the sign opposite Capricorn, and I'm always trying to remember the wheel. We're talking Cancer, aren't we? Yeah. So you start consciously living a Cancer embodiment, sort of looking at the positive aspects of Cancer and bringing those energies into your life. There are there's rituals you can do to sort of invoke those powers, to sort of soften the say the Capricorn the Capricorn effect.
Yeah, so and we're literally just gone on the cusp of Cancer season now, and you're really talking about bringing in more of that softness, that flow, and that self-nurturance to counteract some of that hard drive of the Capricorn.
Yeah.
Okay, so carry on.
And White Moon Selena itself has just a couple of days ago moved into Gemini. So it stays in a sign for about 7 months, in its sort of 7-year journey. So for the next 7 months, the White Moon Selena will be sort of well, I guess providing an impetus for higher learning.
And so you could make that a collective reading then, because collectively we're going through this period of 7 months of White Moon Selena in Gemini. And interestingly, we have strong Gemini energy concurrently. So we've got Jupiter in Gemini for a year. We've just had 5 astrological bodies moving through Gemini actually quite rapidly. Mercury, Venus, Moon, Sun, and Jupiter. So Jupiter's now, once the Sun moves into Cancer on Thursday, Jupiter will be the only one still there until Mars enters. But we've got a lot of strong Gemini energy. We've also got the asteroid Sedna, which is another goddess aspect that we're not going to go into. No. But there's collectively a lot of strong Gemini energy at the moment. And we've got this White Moon Selena energy also in the mix for our collective kind of striving towards, as you said, higher learning, maybe even some ideals around the ways that we communicate and share with others on a daily basis.
Yes, it's definitely a good time for speaking the truth.
Great, powerful. So David, I'd love you to talk us a little bit. So part of our connection is that I started this program called the Visionary Author Activation, and it's a 3-month program. So from beginning your book with when you had the idea for the book and then brought it into creation, this was a 3 months process. We started on the spring equinox. We're now a few days away from the summer solstice, and you're ready to launch your book. Can you tell us about that process and how you wrote your book essentially in 30 days?
Oh, I still wonder how I could actually do it. I've never considered myself a writer. I mean, I've got a publishing background myself, but it was always in illustration and design work. It's my painting, by the way. Yes, even when I was magazine editing, I sort of stuck to the design side and got somebody else to do the writing. And I kind of envisaged that, okay, if I was going to do this writing, I'd take my time and maybe work through a year doing each sign over the course of a month. And then you come along with your 30K in 30 days challenge, sort of doing 1,000 words every day. And I didn't know what had hit me. So I thought, okay, right. Okay, so it's not going to be doing White Moon Selena in while the sun is in a particular sign. I'm going to have to do it while the moon is in a particular sign, sort of writing about White Moon Selena in the sign one day and in its ruling planet the next day, to get through to get through the whole system. And I just in your advice, the way you teach, it's like, just get the words out there. Don't edit it. Don't go back. Don't read it again. Just let it write, let it flow, and then you'll pick up on any issues, when the time comes for the editing. Anything that needs explaining further, or anything that needs rejigging. So I just had to trust the process and let the words flow out. And thank goddess you didn't have that many notes about a major restructuring. Yes. But it did reach at the end point when I figured I've been sort of channeling all of these ideas and knowledge without, almost unconsciously, and thinking, okay, I need to go back and actually read what I wrote, because I can't remember what I wrote anymore.
Yeah, it is such a powerful practice, and there is that balance between letting the ideas come through, letting the words flow out unhindered, and then we had our 3-day redraft retreat, where we did some really focused work on redrafting and getting it ready to go to publication. And I think just the momentum in actually having a book brought into the world in such a condensed amount of time, actually there's something really powerful in that.
Yeah, and I'm still holding down a full-time job at the same time.
You did incredibly well, and of the three of us who were writing alongside each other, your book is the longest. So you did really, really well with just a couple of days to get through each White Moon Selena energy, whilst the moon was in that sign. And I love the way that you created that structure for yourself, that this was how you were going to organize your writing and work with those energies that were coming through on those particular days.
It really helped, having that sort of structure. I may not have known exactly what I was going to write, what words I was going to use, but I knew as each day went by, right, I need to write this chapter today. And that's so I start my morning meditation, sort of getting that energy, and then, okay, down to the keyboard.
Absolutely. So having that structure is so key to then you've created a container, which sometimes I call a mandala. It's a physical frequency that can draw the energy through for the chapter. And then it just needs a little bit of work later to get it ready for publishing.
And then there was the days when I was in Glastonbury and was writing chapters in my notebook while sitting in the Goddess Temple.
Beautiful, absolutely wonderful, powerful. It's so there's a beautiful power embodied and encoded in your book. And as we begin to complete our time together today, I would love you to be able to tell people what opportunities are opening up for you now, what speaking opportunities, where can people find you, and how do people connect with you going forward?
Well, I've launched a website based on the book, and it's at www.heavensmoon.co.uk. And on there is a calculator for to do your birth chart that includes White Moon Selena, because it's as well as knowing what your sign is, it's useful to know what house it's in as well. And I got one speaking arrangement already booked in November. I'm going to be speaking about it at the Wirral Pagan Pathways event up north. yeah, so back near my hometown, so which is nice.
That's great. And I know you also have an article coming out in the Lammas issue of Pagan Dawn.
I do, yes, yep. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So there are plenty of places that people can find you, especially now that that you're beginning to really share more and speak more about White Moon Selena and the book. We'll drop the links in the comments below when we have them. And if there's anything more that you want to share with us just to complete our session today, David.
Well, my other work is doing sound baths and sound healing, which I do in London and once a month in Glastonbury. And so you can find me at the Goddess Temple on the first Sunday of every month doing an astrological sound bath, working with planetary tones, sort of basically playing sort of the music of the planets in their astrological alignments of that day.
That's beautiful. And I know also people can connect with you for a White Moon Selena reading and some guidance and mentorship from you around what comes up in the birth chart as well.
That's right. Yes. So that's it. I'm hoping to get out and about around the country to talk more about it. I'm grateful for all the help that you've given me and all the inspiration to actually get words on the page, which is something that I really wasn't sure I was going to be able to do.
Such a great achievement, and thank you, David. It's been really, really wonderful to talk to you and share more about your book, Heaven's Moon. So look out for that, and we'll drop the links below.
Thank you very much, Sally-Shakti. Love to speak to you.